I have Nick here from the Tribes of Pazuzu project that I'm working on. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of do a little, you know, either answering question session or just kind of rap a little bit about, the Tribe project and stuff. It's been getting some really killer response. And, it's just a cool project that I was happy to be a part of. And, yeah, so maybe Nick wants to say something about the formation of the project, where, how it kind of came about, or maybe a little bit about his background. 'Cause he has a long time underground history himself.
That's a pretty big question right there.
Yeah, try to leave it open to you. I mean, it's not an interview, so you can just say whatever the hell you want.
I guess we can start with the tribe stuff, or I don't know,
Yeah.
background.
Yeah, whatever. You can start with the tribe stuff. It's good.
I guess basically at that point I was, when I started that, like it was the end of Soulstorm. I think maybe around 2016. I was just doing that still and just kind of moving along with that, and didn't really feel satisfied with what everything was going on. So I just decided to. I wanted to do like a live band and go back into the death metal and play some hardcore, that kind of stuff. It's more like a live thing.
Yeah.
And I reached out to Jason DeVille, a mutual friend there.
Yeah. He's been helping us out PR for quite a long time.
At Black Element, him and Kim.
Yeah, they're great guys. They're great people.
Yeah, for sure. It's very helpful. So I reached out to him and I said, I have all these ideas, these songs I was writing, and I needed people to play it. And right away he just said, that's a great idea. Bam, 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 listed off some people. And so we just started rolling, and I'm glad everyone that was approached was into it. That was, awesome. Everyone who liked it. There was like a positive, reaction to the music and everything. So that was a good feeling too. Like just coming out of these other projects in different styles. So we just started moving forward with that, and you came on board, and that was awesome and very helpful. And
oh, thank you. That was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was. And I know you guys had your album just came out too, so I know you're really busy. But you still took some time out to do it. That was good. That was awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
And then we got Flo on board. And from there, it was once we got him, like it was pretty much set the kind of standard too as well. As with both of you guys, obviously, like you were the first ones mentioned in the same conversation. And right away, I knew it was going to be like a certain level of quality. You know what I mean? What we were looking for.
Flo's an amazing drummer, so to have that kind of quality and power is a great backbone to the band,
Oh, definitely. It changes everything. The drummers, just, playing with different people over the years and just, not being able to play certain things at certain times. And now just whatever I write, I give it to Flo, and I never even heard him say, I can't do this or anything. It just gets done, and I'm just like, wow. Okay. Next time.
Yeah, definitely. No, he's a great addition to the band. I actually don't really know Flo that well. I mean, I've crossed paths with him here and there, but we never really even really chatted or whatever. So it's kind of cool to be on a recording with somebody so killer. Just look forward to meeting him sometime.
Really, yeah. Actually, I didn't even get to meet him at the studio. He lives about an hour away, I think, so it's not really too close to the studio.
Yeah.
He had to do his parts and go and live his life after that. And
yeah. Well, he's just good enough to like integrate himself real easy, Yeah,
no, they work out of the CRYPTOPSY studio. Christian did everything. It was, just that's the way he works, and it was already going to be at that kind of level of professionalism. So we were just like, okay, let's do it. And I just walked into the whole thing. Drums were done. No complaints with it. It was awesome, man.
That's
so we went being just with all you guys, just you know, it's humbling, and you know, I'm honored to be working with all you guys as well, because you know, I know you guys have been doing it for so long and have a certain level of respect in the community and stuff. So it's nice to have my stuff played by you guys, and you guys have, like it and push it, and you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it's killer stuff. But I mean, you also have a you know, long time reputation in the scene too. I mean, you know, it was Soulstorm and other bands that you played in over the years. So I mean, it's not, you know, when I heard about the idea originally, I thought it'd be interesting because I knew that you know, I mean, I know you come from the same old school thing, but definitely doing something different in Soulstorm than anywhere I went to. So I thought it would be kind of cool because maybe it'll have a different different flavor than I would normally do, which is good because if I play in a band, I don't want it to sound just like the other band I play in. I want to experiment with other stuff or just try different things that you know, make it worth doing. Because it's kind of silly to yeah, I always thought it was silly to start like a new band or do a side project that just sounds just like your main band. It's like, well, just do the main band then.
Right. Yeah, no point in that. Yeah, definitely. When I started Soulstorm, it was meant to be a little bit different, kind of try something else, and you know, inject different sounds, and you know, it's very like death metal is already pretty nichey, you know, genre, and then I kind of split it up more with what I was doing, and like some people didn't get it, some people did, you know, it's like it was still all an experiment. It was fun when it was.
That was good though. That time, death metal was very experimental in its own way. I mean, it's different. It's different than what people would say is experimental now, but back then, people were experimenting with other, you know, ways to integrate the heaviness of death metal, but still keeping it, you know, have that core fundamentals or whatever. But I think, I mean, as far as the stuff I know of Soulstorm, it was more closer to like a Godflesh type influence or something like that. At least that was my opinion of it when I first heard it.
Yeah, it was like yeah, definitely that had like an industrial, and we tried to mix with the death metal and the doom.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, the Swans kind of stuff, like early Obituary, Celtic Frost. Of course, Godflesh was mostly just like Street Cleaner type stuff, but like that, you know.
Well, Street Cleaner was heavy as fuck.
Oh yeah, I remember when that came out. You know, the artist I was with at the time, he listened to it. He was just like, "Is that on the right speed, man?" You know, because they were doing the down tuning, and they had it all like, you know, just like this thumping sound. And I like the hypnoticness of it. You know, it was kind of cool.
Well, a funny story about Godflesh is I went to see him when I think it was the Grind Crushers tour they were on in the U.S. I seen him for that, and something happened where when they first came, the first show I think was in New York or somewhere by there, and they plugged in their drum machine, they burned it out on our 110 thing, and they lost all their fucking samples. So they basically like played a full set of it was just going like, you know, a certain drum beat or whatever, and they just played over the whole fucking set, like kind of just totally just you know, kind of almost jammed it in a way, like it was like some kind of weird industrial jam.
Industrial improv.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I mean, I was kind of bummed because I did want to hear the actual Street Cleaner songs, you know, the way they're supposed to be, but it was still kind of cool in a way to witness something so fucked up, you know.
Definitely an original one-off type of performance.
Yeah, it's probably. I don't even know. I might even have had a bootleg copy of it too, because it was kind of one of those, you know, interesting history things that happened in the metal scene or whatever, you know. And okay.
I had a couple from that tour bootlegs from Godflesh's set. There was a really killer one from Florida, another one from Pennsylvania. Good stuff.
Just think of how it has to suck though, like to rush and reprogram your whole set drum wise.
Yeah, early using technology in the early '90s, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean you couldn't just, you know, send the file over. You know, have someone go to your computer, send the file over. You had to he probably had to reprogram every fucking song on that.
Oh, yeah, every single hi-hat. You know, that's a pain in the ass for sure.
Yeah, that had to be a real pain in the ass, you know.
Before a show.
Yeah, that'd be pretty stressful, you know.
Yeah.
But,
so I had some of that stress in Soulstorm as well, you know, like certain things like that. There's monitor mixes; it was always fucking up, and you know, I did it for quite a while, and I kind of figured out the solution. You know, just got to bring your own PA and monitors, but even that's still too much of a pain in the ass for live everything. So you know, I like this a lot better. This live direct thing. You know?
yeah.
I miss it.
And what about some of the other stuff you've done in the past?
I guess we could just might as well get Overthrow out of the way. You know,
Yeah.
just started with that, and
I remember getting that demo way back when. I think you probably sent me, or we traded demos. I can't remember, but I know I have the Overthrow demo in my collection.
Yeah, there was a lot of people I traded with. 89 that came out. We recorded and 8 came out.
Yeah.
It was fun trading with everyone, meeting everyone, and the whole underground scene of zines and bands, everyone. And so yeah, we did that for a while. That was a lot of fun. More than that, like a death thrash kind of like a creator destruction. It was like that German stuff, Sodom, you know, like that kind of influence.
Yeah, I think it kind of reminded me of a similar vibe I was doing with Revenant at that time.
Yeah, definitely. It was that kind of. It wasn't like just like straight thrash because it had like a little bit of death elements in there, but it's still early before that, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And then we got to play some shows. We played with Death on the first 2 nights of the Spiritual Healing Tour
in
awesome. Montreal and Toronto with Devastation as well. And I met Borovoy in Borovoy Kurgan.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Met him in Montreal, and he told me that he loved the demo, and he helped. He said we should both record with Scott Burns in Morrisound.
Yeah.
That just changed everything right there. That conversation. So. Yeah, so we booked it with Scott, and we went down there to Morrisound, where I think we're the first Canadian band to record down there before Gorguts.
Yeah, awesome.
So, yeah, it was a trip, you know, like going to like a world class studio, having a nice sound. We're meeting this, you know, cool producer guys, and you know, all the guys in the studio were there at the time because Tom did the drums and the bass, Tom Morris.
Yeah,
and you know, Scott did the rest of the stuff in the mixing. So
that's cool. Yeah, Borfor was a big deal in the underground. I know he had his fanzine. I can't remember what it was called now, but
it was a little bit before my time. But,
yeah, he used to have a fanzine before, and I think he started working with Roadrunner or something like that. Was that? I forget, but I knew he kind of liked my stuff in Revenant, but I know once I did Incan, he was like, "Fuck this." It wasn't his thing, you know. Or whatever, but he's a cool guy, an important guy in the scene, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He was writing for Metal Forces, you know, and all that stuff. That's when I kind of met him, and then so when he went to Metal Maniacs, he was already, you know, I already knew him, and he was writing about us and stuff. That was cool. I know he did that Raging Death comp. That was awesome.
Killer comp, yeah. I love that.
Executioner and
the Ravage, the old Atheist demos on there. That was great.
I guess I should say, you know, Obituary for the people who don't know.
Yeah, that was great. That Executioner demo was amazing. When I heard that, I was like, "Holy fuck!"
Those vocals, that changed a lot too. When I heard that I didn't hear them as Executioner, but I heard them as Obituary, right? I mean, slowly. And, you know, 89. I mean, there was Death before that, and there's a few bands that were like that, you know, getting deathy kind of thrash kind of stuff. But 89, I think, was when everything kind of, you know, got Morbid Angel came out, and you know, Slowly Rot came out.
Yeah, that was a big turning point for a lot of people that were kind of on that tipping point of thrash and death metal kind of. Once you heard stuff like Altars of Madness and like you know, probably Symphonies of Sickness by Carcass, just a bunch. It was a bunch of albums that just, you know, crushed your brain at that time, you know.
Then also, not only the music, but also they figured out how to produce it properly. Going back to Scott and Morrisound and all that stuff at that time, they, you know, it wasn't like a muddy productions like the early Carcass or Napalm. You know, they started out that, you know, devote a few frequencies to the kick, and you could actually hear it. You know,
it was. Yeah, no,
Yes,
I know what you're saying. There was
like that wasn't just the music, but the production. Like everything started coming together.
yeah, Morrisound probably was one of the first that really understood how to control it a little bit. You know, the craziness of death metal to make it sound proper on album. I mean, Sunlight did too in a different way. It was a lot dirtier sound or rougher sound, but it's still they were able to, I think, capture that. Capture say a different style of death metal, something more
Yeah, for sure.
gurgly. You know,
I guess everywhere kind of had a little bit of there because like Colin Richardson when he
college is
started.
great too. Yeah,
So everyone kind of had their beginnings and like reference points, and it was a fun, exciting time though. Like everyone was heavier things were coming out all the time, and
yeah, yeah. It's great, amazing time for death metal and stuff.
definitely. But and then, but you even look now. I mean, we got 30 years later, we're still talking about it.
Yeah, never thought that would happen.
Did not think that in a million years that here we are talking about this stuff. Like, and there's still so many bands coming out. Like daily, I'm finding, like weekly, I'm finding all these new bands.
Yeah, you're really die hard. You're always coming up with new bands that you're hearing that are killer. It's really, really awesome that you're able to keep that much into the underground scene now. I know I love hearing new bands, but I get so caught up in we work on Incan stuff that I don't get, you know, stuff passes me up more now than, would have when I was younger,
Oh yeah, there's only so much time you can devote to all that. I mean, I put her on random in my iPod and throw it in the car, and some stuff I hear, some I don't. It's it's just happens. But I really enjoy what's going on right now, and just everything's just getting heavier, and like the drummers are phenomenal out there. Like some of these new
Yeah.
drummers, like we were talking about how that propels everything. It's just like the base of everything. It's beautiful.
Well, I think it's different because you know people grew up listening to other bands that were already established in death metal. When people like us were doing it, there wasn't that. There was thrash and there was heavy metal, but there really wasn't like I don't know death metal drumming or even death metal guitar playing. All that kind of stuff. So you kind of had to wing it, and it would take longer to kind of figure out how to put the pieces together because you just didn't know.
Right. True. Yeah.
I just know. I mean, I know for myself, I just wanted it to be heavy as fuck. That was the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think maybe Dark Angel, Darkness Descends.
That's a great
The
album.
drum on that, the production on that.
Yeah.
That was just like wow, '86. I mean, sure we had Slayer in '86, but
Darkness Descends is a monumental album. When I heard that, I thought that I knew for sure I was going to hell once I heard that album.
no better soundtrack though, right there.
Yeah, I mean that's some of the best music out there. I mean, Darkness Descends. I mean, and the impact that made at the time. Holy crap!
Oh, yeah. So that '86, like
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, everything came together on that album. It was so tight. It was perfect.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Production.
Hoagland was a madman on that album. Those like kick spurts that he does in the intro to Darkness Descends is just like at that time it was just like fuck, or like the Burning of Sodom. It's like holy crap. Like I mean I've heard killer stuff before, but this was like pushed to like a new limit to me.
Oh, definitely, yeah. That was awesome when I heard that the first time.
Yeah. So. But let's maybe take a moment. Let's just see if I don't know if anyone either asked anything or just it looks like a bunch of hellos we got. So yeah, let me just check here. Cool. Well, it's good. I hear that people could hear us clearly, and that a lot of people are saying hello. Yeah, Mexico, Victor from Mexico, Alex doesn't say where he's from, but that's cool. Jan sounds perfect. Victor, nice to see you. Cool. Let's see here. Was it Lizzie says hi? Carrie, all good. Okay, these are basically when I was asking if we could hear us. Let's see here. Da-da. Yeah, Matthew from Virginia. What's up, bro? How you doing?
wants to hear about what's going on with Incantation. We brought that up a second ago. You said
Uh,
some new stuff, or are you guys where are you guys at with that right now? Or you want to talk about it? Or?
no, I don't care. I could talk about it. I mean, yeah, basically the Incan stuff. We finished recording the album in December, and we had a little bit of an issue getting the album cover art. We got the original cover art, and it wasn't up to it just wasn't good enough, and it took us a while to kind of get that sorted out. And by the time we got the album cover sorted out, this coronavirus crap happened, and we finally got the cover and everything right maybe a week after the coronavirus thing started, so it just threw everything a little bit in whack. So unfortunately, if things would have worked out as we planned, it would have been out out by now, or close to now or something, but now it looks like it's going to be sometime in the fall. It's just Relapse is just, I guess, trying to negotiate it properly, because they don't want the record to not do as well because of the the coronavirus crap or whatnot. But it looks like things are opening up a little bit, so it should be better. But we're definitely happy with it. It just we finished that album, and then this time we have so much time off. I mean, we knew we were gonna have some time off before the album, but I ended up pretty much writing a good chunk of the next album already, because it just being at home and having that time, and the brain just keeps thinking of riffs and ideas and stuff. You just want to go with it, so I think how it is being a musician. Sometimes think something just perks your inspiration, and it's in the last couple of months I've been super inspired, so really, really happy to still have inspiration after all this time.
I mean, you guys have a lot of albums under your belt, and still to keep writing and be inspired. That's awesome. It's like you can't turn that stuff off, right? So you just keep writing, and you have a new album out, but you just keep writing. And
I write because I love writing music, and I love playing death metal and stuff. It's not necessarily oh shit, we have to do an album, let's write. It just kind of, you just say fuck it and go with it. Like whenever and especially not touring, it's easier to write stuff. I write little things here and there on tour, but once I'm home, I kind of able to put it all together and get into organizing, say structuring songs, stuff like that, trying to get basic concepts. So yeah, it's all good.
That's where I'm at right now here.
So yeah, hopefully before the end of the year, unless something gets totally fucked up, we should have a new album out. And I think it came out really good. Yeah, Dan Swan will mix it again, which he does an amazing job. He did an amazing job on all the albums he did for us. They all sound really killer.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's giving you guys another dimension, and you can hear everything. It's really nice, the production. I like it. I like the stuff that he's doing with you guys.
It's kind of, you're trying to walk that fine line for us of trying to get good production, but at the same time trying not to lose that primordial vibe that the band needs. So, and Dan kind of negotiates that line real well, I think. I'm really happy with it. I mean,
awesome.
I think it came out good. It was nice because I didn't listen to the album for a while, and just in the last couple days I listened to it again, and I was like, oh, okay, good, it sounds good, because after working on it so intensely, I got to leave it for a little bit and let my brain clear from it. Then it's nice to be able to pop it back on and be like, okay, good, it doesn't suck now. But one thing I did want to mention too is that I wanted to just acknowledge the fact that today was the day that Ronnie James Dio passed away, which is one of the most important vocalists, ever in metal for sure. A big influence to us, just anybody that's really into metal, especially for our generation. The stuff he did with Sabbath and his solo stuff and Rainbow, whatever. So I just always have to mention that, because he he was actually one of the biggest influences as a, you know, early metal musician, or even just like a young headbanger, you know, listening to that old Dio and Sabbath stuff was, you know, life changing.
I would say, yeah, definitely. He brought out the horns, and the voice was just, you know, unmatchable. Like, you know, it was like such a power, especially to Sabbath. Like, not saying that taken away from Ozzy, obviously, because he, you know, Ozzy's great, his own stuff.
Yeah, but, no, Ozzy's great. The Sabbath stuff Ozzy did was great, or Ozzy Sabbath stuff, and then, but the Dio, for me, I'm at the age where I really started getting into Sabbath around the Dio era, you know. So it was like that was my first real focus, like the Dio and like the stuff you do with Ian Gillan and stuff, the Born Again album. So those are the albums I actually got into more. So those hold a super special place to my heart. Even though I love the old stuff, I mean the you know, Volume 4 and all that stuff is amazing albums. But you know,
but that was also the drumming changed at that time too.
Yeah.
Thing that I was talking about. It's a line there, you know, like like there's a playing on that, the drumming and the singing. It just changed what Sabbath was really about, you know.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt that it's almost impossible to mimic Bill Ward's playing it the same way he does it, because he's just such a unique style of playing. But I really like Vinny Appice's playing too. He put a different vibe to it, but it just seemed to, for me, it seemed to work well. I didn't mind the transition. I mean, I love both drummers. It's no competition to, you know, they're both amazing. They're different, but they're both amazing, you know. And I actually like the perspective that Vinny Appice puts on some of the Sabbath songs. Just gives it a little bit different vibe, but to me, it's not bad, you know.
True. I think that the fact that they could even recover with a second singer that was just as powerful, or this is groundbreaking and, you know, memorable with like the music, that's an accomplishment right there too. Like
one of the most. I mean, Ozzy was one of the most important like hard rock metal singers ever, and then, you know, you replace him with one of the best, most important vocalists ever. I mean, it's pretty good to be Black Sabbath to be able to choose from like have two of the best vocalists ever, even three really, having Ian Gillan as your vocalist too. Life's pretty good.
They're not earned at all there.
Pretty. You get the prime chick, prime pick vocalist. You know, if you're playing Sabbath, I guess.
Rock right there. It's top vocalist of rock and metal at that time for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody asked the video what we were talking about. More sound. Besides more sound, I think you said Sunlight was the studio in Sweden.
Yeah, Sunlight was. That was. I can't remember the name of the guy that would do it, but I remember. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, great. I mean, those albums he did there were really great too. You know, different way, but that's what's good about it, is that, you know, everybody wasn't doing death metal, you know, in the same way. That's what, you know, it's part of what makes it great. And then over the years, there's been other, you know, great people like, you know, with Peter from Hypocrisy. I can't never pronounce his last name properly. And Dan Swano. You know, it's just a bunch of really great guys that, you know, are able to put their own little touch to things, you know, which makes it, you know, distinctive in their sound, which is important. I mean, it must be really great for, you know, Peter from Hypocrisy to do albums by, you know, bands like Destruction and all these old bands, or he's done some pretty big stuff, Peter. It must be pretty damn cool to do that, you know?
Right. Yeah. Disaster and a few other bands, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good repertoire. You know, I'm just thinking, as like, you know, growing up as a fan of those bands and then having those bands go to your studio.
Oh man, that's the treat for sure. That'd be awesome.
But
and you mentioned Dan Swano, and that's when we were talking initially about doing the Tribe stuff. That was one of the options. That was the first option that you mentioned about going to, you know, your studio.
Yeah.
house place, and then doing the drums there and tracking down there, and then sending it to Dan Sueno. And I was into that idea, but as soon as Flo came on board, you know, he was comfortable doing it at his studio.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so that kind of dictated that whole route there. But I was very much into the idea before, because I was listening to the sounds of stuff at that time of bands that I was liking, and there was like 3 or 4 bands that I really focused it down to, and I swear to God, like Dan Sueno did all those productions, all those mixes. Again,
yeah, he's great. Yeah, and what I like about Dan too is that he doesn't necessarily make all bands sound the same. Like, he's very diverse. He knows how to, you know, he does heavy metal stuff. He does different kinds of death metal albums. He's all kind of all over the place. So it's really
right. Just like I guess his earlier bands were like.
Yeah, like Pandemonium or whatever. He has like a whole bunch of bands, and they're all kind of just different stuff. But it's kind of good because you want somebody, at least for us, you want somebody that's able to not put us too much in a box, like still be able to make us sound like ourselves, but you know, but also just do it in his special way of doing it. You know.
Right.
I mean, I remember when we first sent him some material to mix. You know, from the material we sent to him to how it came out afterwards, I was just like, holy fuck, this guy really sounds fucking good. You know, it's like, because like I don't remember it sounding that good when we sent it to him. So I was like, you got to work with this guy.
That's awesome that he could do that. You told me that he set up the drum room and stuff, or he helped you guys figure it out?
Yeah, he was really cool. Where he helped us set up our home studio for drum recording, especially. He helped us out in all aspects of it because we didn't really know the best way to set up a a proper studio, and he helped us, like, you know, told us what kind of microphones to get, just all the important aspects you need to be able to record, you know, because it was just, you know, we didn't really have the budget to fly him over to do it or to do it over there, you know, so I guess, you know, he does that with, you know, a lot of bands, I guess, that he works with. He just, you know, tells them, this is what I need to make it, you know, make it easy for me to do a good job, you know, and yeah, it was really helpful, you know. I mean, he was able to find us good microphones, but, you know, it was good because not all of it was like super expensive. He was able to find us some stuff that we could afford to get, but still sounded really good, and it's been working out great, you know, since then, because we wanted to actually record. Dirges was the first one. He kind of helps us set up our studios. We wanted to go back to Mars Recording Compound where we recorded the other albums, but they weren't doing any more bands because he was selling off his board, because he had a nice Eve board, and he was selling off. Bill Krecky, he was selling off each channel individually, because people would just buy like one Eve channel and record, you know, use it to record in their home studio, so they still get that killer analog sound. So yeah, we were, what's that?
Ripping the board down for what, like, per channel, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a board that, like, I think he bought the board off like Sheila E. or something like that, you know. So it's like some super expensive board, you know.
Is it New York, I think, or?
What's that?
Is that in New York?
What, the studio? No, his studio is in Cleveland, but I think he bought it from Florida at that, I forget what that big studio is in Florida. But it was, I think Malevolent recorded there, a couple bands. I even think like Sabbath and Eagles recorded there. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, so we, you know, and we didn't want to just go to any studio because we were just skeptical on the whole situation. So we said, fuck it, we'll just buy our own home studio stuff. I mean, luckily it wasn't super expensive, you know. And
yeah, helping you and just telling you about the essential stuff. You don't need any like frills and all that stuff.
Yeah, you know, all he needed was good quality, clean sounds, and
right.
You know, as long as he has the stuff he needs, he could do his magic with it, you know. I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, watch him work on that stuff, you know, because he makes the stuff sound awesome. I think I'm really super happy with him.
I remember the days of going in the studio, and you would sit there with the producers,
Yeah, I know.
all day and like listening to every instrument. Now they don't even let you in the room. They're just like, here's the mix. You know, after a couple,
dude,
they don't let you anymore. But it is a bit tedious, and you can't really do anything except for bug them, really. You know?
When we did so many albums where we were in the studio with, you know, either Bill Korecki or one of the other guys, and yeah, we really didn't even know what we were doing, and you know, our ears were like fried chicken by the time the you know, day was halfway through, because listening to the same parts over again, especially early on, like the early recordings, say like everything up to like Diabolical, you know, we didn't even know what we were listening for in the mix proper. You know, we knew we just wanted to sound heavy and, you know, brutal as fuck, you know, so it was kind of like just kind of go with it, you know, but um, yeah, it took a quite a while until I was able to actually like know what I'm looking for in the studio, like just like sound wise or like fuck ups and stuff like that. Because at that time, I just like I don't know, just yeah, I was probably more of a pain in the ass in the studio than I was helpful, you know.
That's how I feel now. So I'm just like, you know what? You guys do your thing, mix it, let me know how it comes out, and I'll just let you know.
Yeah, if it sounds good or sounds bad, right? Or what? Yeah, that's the way I like. Actually, it's better because you know, Dan will just send me a file in the mail. This is, you know, the mix or whatever, and I'll listen to it. And usually I'll be like, wow, sounds fucking awesome. But man, it could maybe little fixes here or there. But it's just nice because I would probably have fucked up the whole mix on immediately, you know, because
Yeah, right.
like if I was in the studio, but letting him do his whole thing and sending it to me, it's kind of like I get to hear the big picture, not because when you like analyze every little thing in the studio, you go freaking batty, you know.
Oh yeah, you overdo it for sure. Like
Get tunnel vision.
Leave it to the professionals to do their job.
Yeah, I
I know exactly what you mean. Like we used to, you know, when I first heard about all this new style, like where they just mix it and then they send it to you, I was just well, I'm used to being in there the whole time, but I realized that that's not the best way to do it.
yeah, it's as long as you pick the right person to
Yeah,
work
exactly.
with, you know, you don't really have to worry about it. I mean, that's what one of the things we really liked about working with Dan Swano was he's from our era of death metal. He knows of Incantation. You know, I don't think he was necessarily a fan, but he knew who we were. He knew what kind of you know sounds we're looking for. So it was really easy for him to integrate himself. It wasn't like back, especially in the '90s. A lot of these people we work with had no clue to what we were about as a band. Wasn't a fan of the style of music or anything, and we would have to try to explain to them terms that they don't even know what the fuck's going on. You know. So
You need someone who knows the style, who knows, you know, what you want as a band instead of trying to impose their idea of what you should sound like.
yeah, exactly. We used to get that a lot. We used to be like, you know, they'd tell us in the studio, well, you know, was it I don't know, Fear Factory or something, you know, is like really big now, so you really have to have that kind of. And I'm like,
All right, yeah.
no, no, definitely not. Not for us, you know. Great for them, but not for us.
Weird. Let's just say that.
But what's it? So getting back to the tribe stuff.
Yes.
What was what's is there ever going to be a possibility to do any live stuff?
I sure hope so. I guess it's really up to the fans and the promoters. They got to request it, right? I mean, I don't know. Or do we just go out there?
Well, if you follow my lead, I just say fuck it and go out there and just force it down people's throats.
You
But
guys had an amazing run the last couple of years of getting some killer tours and you know just going everywhere all across the world. And yeah, I'd like some of that. That would be fun. Who wants to? Who's in?
yeah,
You know, it's not really up to me, but you know, or is it? I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a little bit complex, I guess, because you know, Flo and I live so far away. I think your other guitar player, he lives kind of closer to you, right? Or is he?
It's like an hour and a
Oh,
half.
okay. So yeah, so it's not necessarily the easiest, but it would be really fun to do something, you know.
I think so. Yeah, I think the right situation probably has to pop up to make it worth it for everyone because we're all so far away. Um, you know, we can't just go somewhere like a do like a one-off, like on a Sunday night or something, or
Yeah, yeah,
So as long as everyone's on board, then yeah, definitely something could happen. I'm all for it. That would be awesome. I mean, that's the next step. We've been talking about it.
yeah.
Because we've got 10 songs now, so
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess between the two EPs, it's like a full album worth of material.
At least before last year, I could say we only had 5 songs and we couldn't tour, right? But now we have.
Yeah, but it would be killer. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a little bit of pain in the ass in the near future because with this coronavirus stuff, it's going to be like flooded with bands itchy to get out and play and stuff like that. So it might be a little more difficult. Um, but I think that, I mean, the reaction for both EPs have been totally killer. So I think there would be interest in people checking it out, even like doing something like a Maryland Fest or one of those kind of fests like that would probably be a great opportunity for us.
I was thinking something like that would be great to intro the band to a bunch of people, at once. You know what I mean? Like because it is hard to get us all together. So if we could do something like that, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But, it's out of my hands, right? So, like,
yeah. Well, actually, I've been trying to push Evan and Ryan into it. I think it wasn't able to happen this year, but and I think next year is basically this year over again. So I don't know. It probably won't happen next year at the Maryland Fest because they're loaded up with 2 years worth of bands that they're going to be doing in 1 year or something.
You're talking about Quebec? Is that the one?
Yeah, Quebec was the one I was hoping to try.
And that would be great because like Flo's right there. That's his backyard, and you guys were already playing.
Yeah, so it would have been awesome.
Yeah, but something will come up. I'm sure. Like it'll be great.
Yeah. So what about new material? I don't really I haven't heard much about it. I don't know if maybe you just decide to do some stuff and say, screw this guy, he's too busy or something like that. It's okay. I understand.
So, early beginning stages of writing, but I think I'm going to do a full-length album now.
Yeah.
Jason said that's probably a good idea to do. Like, I don't know. I was just like, sure. I guess let's do it. So I got about 8 ideas.
Oh, cool.
That are like varying degrees, the way you were describing it, right? You write, it's just like you come up with a riff here and there. So like sometimes you'll be like come up with a riff, and you'll be like this is like an intro or a verse, and it's different from other riffs. So you make a one song out of it. You know what I mean? So like some of these are just one riff right now. Some of them have 3 or 4 riffs. So it's in varying stages, but there's about 8 songs started.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. Look forward to checking out and whatnot. It was really crazy with the first EP from recording the guitar tracks to it to actually hearing the finishing product with everything. It was really crazy because it really livened up a lot everything with everyone's with the guitar, with the lead guitar stuff in there, and then the drums. It just really got I mean, it was great stuff already, but it almost went to another level or something like that,
Yeah, definitely. I fully agree because I mean, also we were sitting with the demos for so long, and it's very primitive what I was doing with the drum tracks. I just wanted to place over something, so it wasn't really like I was trying to tell Flo what to do at that time. I just said these are the basic tracks, and the fact that all you guys liked just that tracks was a good sign. I mean, you guys had a lot of faith in me with the lyrics and the vocals and stuff. Like, you didn't know how it was going to sound, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had a pretty good idea, but riff-wise, I thought it was good. It actually reminded me of a band that you had a short time with. It was a Pestilence. It kind of had that kind of like an old Consuming Impulse vibe or something like that, which I was really happy with.
About that. But yeah, actually, when I was talking about all the albums in '89, I would say Consuming Impulse was another one of those.
Amazing album, yeah.
So, the first time I heard Martin's vocals, I think, was a turning point. Martin and John Tardy, I think, were two of the. When the first time I heard those two guys, was just like, wow, here we go. Let's do that, you know.
Yeah. Martin's phenomenal vocalist, amazing vocalist, great frontman, cool guy too, really nice guy.
I haven't. I mean, we used to write around that time when I was joining Pestilence. I started writing to him, and he was very cool about everything. And so we wrote for a little bit at the beginning of Soulstorm too, but then I just lost track or whatever. You know, it happens.
Yeah, of course, I know. Yeah, there's a bunch of people I used to write to that I lose track of, and I meet like 20 years later, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you used to write letters." I'm like, "Oh shit." That's awesome though. Great. Um, yeah, actually, I was talking with was it Bob from Beast of Revelation and Asphyx, and he was saying we were talking about it's crazy, but like back in the um, late 80s, early 90s when we were doing lots of mail and stuff like that, it's like we were almost more real friends with people than the internet is now. Even though it's easier to get in touch with everybody, it's like I have a crap load of internet friends, but I don't know them as well as I know these people I used to like be pen pals with and trade demos with and shirts. It's just kind of weird. Maybe it's not like that for everybody, but for me, it's like people like Bob or just some of the other people I used to write to. There's like a special connection, like say Johnny from Unleashed or those guys, Nikki from Entombed. We used to write all the time, and it just I don't know. So every time we see each other, it just feels extra special. Like it's almost like class reunion or something. I don't know.
Maybe a personal touch.
Yeah, because almost like when you write a message, you just say like, "Hey, what's up?" A little message thing. But back then, you'd write like a whole letter saying like everything that you've been doing or what the band's doing or just something. Just a
I get what
different.
you're saying. I use it right now still as a tape trading tool, finding all these bands,
Yeah.
sending other people, getting in touch with other bands. Other guys, like trading shirts, whatever, hanging out, talking. Hey, I love your band. You guys are great. It's easier to get in touch with the people now.
For sure.
And it's, hear from everyone, whereas probably half of those people wouldn't send you a letter, or probably 90% of them wouldn't send you a letter. But it could differentiate the hardcore from the casual listener. But I think it's in this time of connectivity too. Like everyone's just like you can just contact anyone in the world at any point in time right now. Like go back to Dan Sueno. Like you could just send a mix across the world, and this guy will mix it, and then he'll send it back.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, I know.
And a lot of opportunities have opened up, I think, because of this kind of stuff. Like I've directly talking to fans all over the world and dealing with people and companies and people making shirts. People approached me to make patches. Like that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, there's a positive and negative to both situations, and but no, I think it's great now too.
Yeah, we control it. You don't have to talk to everyone, right? You don't have to answer to everyone. You just want to say hi. Some people want to get into it. It's varying degrees of
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good, man. I like it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, so I don't know. Anybody out there at all have any questions about anything at all? Especially, tribe stuff would be really cool to talk about, but whatever. And if not, that's cool too. We're having a fun time just BSing and stuff, Let me see here.
Then we're talking about the tape trading stuff.
Yeah.
My friend Rob, remember the last time we saw you guys at
oh yeah,
and he was talking about necrophagia, and he used to tape trade and pen pals with Killjoy, all those guys.
Yeah. We
a
used
few of those guys too.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the tape trading thing, I was very fortunate that I used to work at a record store, and I had some friends that come in look at like our import section, and it kind of introduced me to tape trading and stuff. So it was really cool to learn about that whole nother world beyond records and stuff like that. Because back then, like I would just work in a record store and wait for something to come out. Like a lot of times, I wouldn't even know that something's coming out until I actually seen the record in my hand, and then I learned about the tape trading and fanzines and stuff like that, and it really was just really inspired me to even dig deeper into music, and for me it was great because I got to learn about stuff really early on and find out where my places in the scene, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think we only had one place like that, one store, record store that had the imports, that sold the demos, had like underground stuff. And one of the guys who worked there, he had a radio show that played all the really underground thrash and death and like just weird stuff. And it was, we didn't have like a lot of places to go for that, but at least we did have some places. And you have to deal with certain distributors, otherwise you would never know a lot of these imports ever came out.
Yeah.
Go to the big stores, and they had like the popular albums of the day, but they never had any imports or anything. You would never know some of these albums even existed, like Music for Nations and stuff like that. Even was hard to get a lot of times at a lot of places like back in the day. So it's nice to have those kind of places where they write about the zines and stuff. And they sold zines in the store there. It was pretty,
I know the kind of store. That's awesome. The kind of like a mom and pop kind of store or whatever, I guess they call it. But because you're from Toronto, is that correct, or area? What's
Toronto,
that? Yeah, because the thrash and early kind of metal scene is amazing in that area. I mean, you guys have some of the greats like Slaughter, Sacrifice. Was it Razors from there? Yeah.
There's up the street there.
Yeah, I mean, just such. Canada in general. Holy crap! Like if you add Montreal or Quebec in there, I mean, you have Voivod, you have DBC, you have. I mean, there was just incredible scene, and I like even some of the lesser known bands. I don't know if you're familiar with like Damnation. They're from Quebec. Even I'm wearing an Aggression shirt. One of my favorites from back then. That the Toronto and Quebec scene, so good. I mean, Groovy Aardvark. I remember them. There was Soothsayer, the Cremains.
Some Soothsayer live bootlegs and stuff.
Soothsayer was amazing. Before, I was kind of bummed out when they did the "Have a Nice Day" or whatever it was, the album.
Yeah.
But that to Be a Real Terrorist demo, that's a good one. I don't know if you ever heard that. That's a good demo.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. I don't know. Like, I mean, some of that stuff was funny, but when bands get jokey,
yeah,
it ruins it for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Not all of them. I mean, like, sure, SOD. The first SOD, the first Dayglow album, Dayglow Abortions.
Yeah, those are great.
I like those, but
even old DRI was fun,
Oh, DRI was amazing. Yeah, I love that. Dealing with It is
great album.
Yeah, that one right there is actually a big influence on me too. Like that album's insane.
It is. It's a great. Yeah, it's a super important album.
Everything came together. The speed, the songs, the production, everything was great. It was just like beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of great ones. Old Cryptic Slaughter, Vermont, bands like that. Great.
You ever hear Beyond Possession?
Yeah.
From Calgary, they had like a crossover kind of sound.
Totally.
They came over around the same time as Cryptic Slaughter. They had like a fast thing going on, and punk and skateboarding and stuff.
Yeah, I remember hearing Voivod for the first time. I was just like, this is just insane. It almost seemed like I heard him on the War and Pain album, so it sounded like a mixture between like Venom, some kind of punk thing, and some kind of like I don't know, Slayer-ish, something like just crazy. It was so barbaric.
It's like Venom and Motorhead.
Yeah, it's just so sick and
had all those crazy chords, and I think some of it, the first time I heard it, just went right over my head. I was just like, I don't know what to it was so chaotic.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And I don't know if the chords or just because they were just full on thrashing out and ripping headaches. Listening to that.
Yeah, I know. But I just remember I loved hearing that fucking bass of Blackie on there going gong gong. It was just like it sounded like a freaking monster, you know?
Oh yeah, that was
Like Godzilla's coming for you.
He was an influence on me, Blackie, at early days. Killing Technology, love that album. Like I think it was a pinnacle for me, for them as well. Like that's
a great album, yeah.
They still retained a lot of the thrash and a lot of the darker stuff, but where they lost a little bit of that later. But
yeah,
they're still like for a couple albums, but it changed style.
It's crazy because Killing Technology was the first time I seen them perform live, and it was really great. And I liked it because they were playing stuff off Roar and War and Pain, but it was more coherent, you know, like you could hear a coherent version of Roar. And I think the Roar album would be really. I mean, I love Roar. I think it's a great album. But if it did have the production of Killing Technology, that would be a way more monstrous album. Would have been a bigger album because that production definitely steered people away. I mean, I was used to the rough production, so it didn't bother me so much. But once you heard them on Killing Technology, it was just like, you know, it had the sound and the sickness, you know. It was a good middle area for Voivod where you have, it's not too, it still has that chaos to it, but it's also, you know, good quality.
Yeah, that kind of like a good punk feel to their music too. Which gave it a bit of an energy too. It was like a unique from the metal scene like that.
And one of my favorites still from Canada is Slaughter. I love that Strapato album from Slaughter and their demo stuff. I don't know if you're big into them, but I just love that.
I like Slaughter. I did a cover with the drummer from Slaughter.
Oh, that's great.
Which Tales of the Macabre. We did that a couple
years ago. That's
a
great song. Fuck.
I'll send you the link after. I thought you might have seen it by now, but I have a bit of a history with the drummer Ron because he started Epidemic Records.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Overthrow was the first band that he signed, and we started the whole label with Epidemic Records with Ron from Slaughter.
So, that's awesome.
Right at the gate, like we were just in the suburbs of Toronto, you know, Scarborough, and then Pickering, even more suburbs out there. And he came out and watched us, and he just loved it, and he wanted to start a label. This is about a year after he left Slaughter, and he just wanted to start a record label, and he showed us the quality. He wanted us to be the first band.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then, the history was just written from there. We just started going, and we got Brian Taylor, who did their the Stramato album and Sacrifice and Sudden Impact.
Yeah,
we did our demo, and it was just out of the gate. We just kind of wanted to do. We knew what we wanted to do, and we did it.
Yeah.
That's one of those guys. I talked to Dave a little bit. Dave Houston.
Oh, great. Yeah, I love those guys. Did you ever get any of their comedy tapes back then?
No, I heard some. I heard about a whole bunch, and yeah, Ron told me like a million stories over the years too. Like, so I've heard some really, really crazy stuff. Not limited to those tapes, but I'm sure those tapes were like crazy offsite.
Yeah, I got a couple of them through tape trading, and they are just hilarious. I mean, Terry Sadler and I think it was mostly Terry Sadler and Dave Houston were doing them, and it was just kind of like it was like this like mock radio show they used to do. It's so cheesy, but it was just so funny. It was just really really a fun thing to get and just to listen to, you know. I mean, it fit for that time and like how much of like metal assholes we were, you know. It was like the perfect. It was like just like us being us, like listening to those tapes, just a bunch of assholes, metal assholes, you know. It's great.
Drink in your hand, just laughing away.
Yeah, just having a good time, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's amazing though. Yeah, because I know I was really happy when I was filling in for Mortician way back when. We used to do we sometimes jam like "Fuck of Death" or whatever, you know, because that was a big influence for Mortician was Slaughter, and it just was always so much fun. We were actually gonna do a Slaughter cover too back for the Forsaken Morning, because originally the Forsaken Morning EP was going to be like the songs that were on it, and we did Scream Bloody Gore by Death, but originally we were gonna do a Death cover because at that time it was kind of weird, but at that time Death was like not that popular anymore in the death metal world because he was kind of veering off. So he wanted to. What's that?
Where was that around? Sorry.
That was around 95, 96 or something like that. So I mean, it was popular in the tech world, but so we did Scream Bloody Gore. We were gonna do a cover, Slaughter cover. I can't remember what song it was that we were gonna do by Slaughter. And then of all bands, we're gonna do a Hyrax cover too, like and something else. But we ended up just saying screw it, and we just did the Death cover, you know. But we had like about five. It was gonna be an album where the one side was gonna be like new material, the second side was gonna be just some covers. It was kind of like a test album we were gonna do before doing Diabolical Conquest because we wanted to get like one studio album done with Kyle on drums before doing like the actual full length or whatever. But but get back to it. I love that old Slaughter stuff. I have those old demos and stuff. It's just so much fun. I mean, it's chaos, but it's amazing, you know.
Yeah. Like I said, Ron told me a bunch of stories. So
yeah.
He told me that he used to tune their guitars.
Probably.
Anyway.
But what was it? Another great band from that area, Sacrifice too. Super influential on me, especially when I was playing a Revenant. What's that?
Chuck left, and then obviously there's that Slaughter connection there too when he came out for a couple months.
Oh yeah,
And there's those pictures. There's actually some pictures where they cropped them out and used it for the fuck of that 7-inch.
Oh, is that right?
Where Chuck is in those pictures. They're around somewhere. But that was an interesting time too.
Well, it's interesting because Slaughter was already like pretty established as a important underground band at that time, enough where Chuck from Death decided, well, maybe I'll join them.
Yeah, right, exactly, right.
I mean, who would have, people now would never think, if you listen to Slaughter Strapato, you would never think that Chuck Schuldiner would want to play in that. But I mean, I totally get it because I know at that time I would have just, gave my left arm to play in Slaughter, you know? I mean, because it was so fucking heavy at that time. So heavy.
For the time, and then he was probably just trying to look for the most extreme thing out there because if you go through what he went with the Repulsion guys, he tried that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ryford,
yeah.
Autopsy, right? Slaughter. He did the whole extreme underground before he did the Death thing, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that would be great too. I mean, because that Repulsion too at that time, they just had the unreleased album that Horrified. They didn't have a record label for it, but it was all throughout the underground through tape trading and stuff, and it was totally. I mean that Horrified album. Napalm Death ripped it off. It influenced like almost every band, and it's like one of those bands that sometimes people forget. Like Repulsion was probably where any band from the put out an album in the 80 like late 80s or whatever probably were influenced by Repulsion as one of those bands. I mean, I can't say for sure, but they were super big deal back then. Like
right. I was doing the blast beat. They knew Repulsion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you were using the blast beat, you knew it. I mean, it was brutal because when I heard Napalm Death basically rip off that I can't remember the name of the song offhand, but they totally ripped off the Repulsion riff, and I was like, holy fuck! They totally just ganked that riff, and everybody knows the Napalm Death version, and only the underground people from that time really knew where it actually came from. But early Napalm Death, I think they were just borrowing riffs from their favorite bands because I know they had a Necrophagia riff in one of their songs too. It was but I think it was part of the whole just be an asshole and play as fast as possible and whatever kind of gig.
Yeah. I like Napalm. I like Repulsion as one of like a grindcore album.
Yeah.
And maybe the first couple Carcass, I would say, would fit into the grindcore.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan besides that though. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not super huge on grindcore, but I like it when it's done the right way. You know, when it really I like if it's just really heavy and really I feel like it really pushes the limits. I could dig it. You know, but you know, grindcore, a lot of grindcore these days to me is more, it's too screamy. You know, I like it more like the old yeah, like I don't know, maybe the Terrorizer type vibe of it, or yeah, early Napalm Death vibe, where it was like it sounded, the vocal sounded really heavy too. I mean, even though Napalm Death had the higher vocals too, at that time it didn't bother me so much. Where so many people started doing that like low high, super. You know, I just kind of, it kind of gets burns out after a while hearing that, because it's just that pattern just I don't know, maybe it's too typical or something like that. You know.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying with that, with the vocals for sure. It also gets a little, I don't want to get into it, but the whole politics thing is kind of a little crazy.
Yeah, well, I just don't like politics in music. I mean, I understand it's a punk thing or whatever, and there's punk influence in grindcore, but I just, for me, I look at music as a way to get away from all the bullshit in life, you know? So that's why I really...
That's why we're saying about demons and stuff. It's just like, we know it's not real, but I mean, you know, it's like, it's all fun. It's all like,
yeah. Well, it's the same like watching a movie or watching a horror movie or something. You don't do it because you're you know, trying to learn about the reality of monsters. I mean, you're doing it because it's entertaining, you know. So, I mean, that's the way music is. You know, for me, it's like it's a way to get away from life. If I wanted to, like, you know, pay attention to politics or really get into it, I wouldn't be doing music as my way of getting the word out there or whatever, you know? Like I said, I want people to go to our shows, listen to our albums, and get away from all that crap, you know? So yeah, I get kind of, you know, I don't really, it doesn't bother me. I mean, if somebody, you know, like a grindcore band that I like or a punk band I like has political things, I take it with a grain of salt either way, because I definitely don't want to get my political information from a musician. Is not the best person. I mean, I would definitely tell people, don't take, you know, if I start telling you stuff about politics, don't listen to me and don't pay attention to it, because I'm not the person to you know, be your mentor on politics. You go, you know, you can find it way more informative people other places, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I have my ideas and what I think, but I'm not an expert, so, you know.
Yeah, well, everybody has their ideas and stuff, and that's, you know, great thing about being a human. But I just think it's not, you know, musician isn't the like I don't like it when you know, actors and stuff try to, you know, talk about politics stuff. It's like, just shut up and act. You know, it's like, I don't really give a crap, or just play music and have fun. You know, you don't have to make things so righteous and so important. It's like we're here to play music and have a good time, and we don't want to think about, you know, government and all that crap. We want to think about having a good time. You know.
Very true. Yeah, it's on the platform. Like, you're on a show having fun, you know, and then you progress. Like, everyone's there to have a good time, let off some steam.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy it for what it is. It's music. It's heavy. It's brutal. That's why we all get together. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful thing. You know, that's why one of the things, like, some people are like, "Oh, you're doing death metal now." You know, in some of the interviews I was getting last year.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was still kind of playing a form of death, you know, and stuff like that with Soulstorm or whatever. But you know, I mean, it's just one of those things where it was in my blood in the past, and, like, you know, like, I grew up on all this stuff, all those bands we were talking about, like you know, the thrash bands from the Dark Angel, the Creator, Sodom, you know, Zet, all that stuff going into, like, the death metal stuff, 89, 90. You know, it just it's just something that I kind of, like, felt that I kind of not turned my back on, but I changed my focus. You know, in the early 90s, especially in Toronto and Canada. It just didn't seem to work out. It wasn't the same thing. It's not what I think people in Toronto are just not really into the whole death metal thing, is seeing it as a viable thing. Like, they don't like it. It's too scary. It's too fast. Vocals, you know, and all that stuff. But at this point, I was just like, you know what? I just got to do what I got to do. And, you know, that stuff excites me. That stuff I always loved. I want to do a full album now, a full Tribe album.
Yeah.
heavy shit like planned, it's gonna be fun.
Well, the thing is you got to do it when you feel it's the right time to do it or you want to do it. It's stupid to it would be stupid for you to do a death metal album at a time you don't really feel like it, you know. And we all, you know, I mean, you came up from, you know, similar era and time in music where, you know, as me, where there was a bunch of different elements that formed, you know, you as a musician or a songwriter and stuff like that. So I think it's natural, you know, to want to return to that to some extent, you know. I mean, because people just have different paths, you know. It's like, you know, if you're feeling that the Soulstorm is, you know, your right place and, you know, where your you know, musical influences in your songwriting is, you know, working out the way you want to, that's the right thing to do. You know, it's stupid. Some people think that you know, you have to, you know, you have to follow a certain path or a certain way or do things a certain, you know, thing, or you're not true or whatever. And that's bullshit, because you got to do what's true to yourself. And sometimes doing something true to yourself is not following the same path as, you know, somebody who's, you know, been playing death metal straight through the whole time or whatever. You know, people just have different paths, but it, you know, it leads to the same spot in a way. You know, I mean, you're doing death metal now, and you're doing you know, great stuff, and you're obviously really inspired, so it's the right thing to do, you know.
Thanks, man.
I
Appreciate
mean,
it.
it would be bad if you decided that to do the Soulstorm album and to have it be the Tribes of Pazuzu album songs on that. It would be retarded, you know.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't fit. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of bands actually are arrogant enough where it'll do a right turn like that. But for you, it was the right thing to do, is to, you know, okay, this idea of the Soulstorm thing is to the side, and it's what it is, and it's a great thing, and now I want to do something else, and this is my, you know, new vision that I have, and you're able to find other people that were able to help your you know, vision come to life, you know. So it's awesome.
I'm indebted to all of you. Actually, it's just
Yeah.
if I didn't have all you guys, it wouldn't have been what it was. I mean, sure, there's the songs, but I mean, I needed all the players. I needed the you know, the PR. I needed the you know, the support, even just the moral support, just through the whole thing, because you know, it has been a while since I've recorded something. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy. I mean, I appreciate it. You know, we all appreciate that you're so cool about everything, you know. But, you know, basically, it's, you know, if the music sucked, then none of us would be interested in it, you know. I mean, so it's, you know,
Well,
it's,
and I'm blown away by that too, right? Obviously, because you guys all like it, so you know, that's a good feeling, right? I mean, to have people who are, you know, in the scene that like your stuff, and I've noticed it going all over the world to a whole bunch of people. Like the Dutch metal scene is like killing it right now. They all
yeah.
love the stuff that's going on, and
Yeah, I hear. I mean, just on the touring that I've done, people come up to me a lot and you know, bring up the band and stuff. And I'm actually want to work on making sure that I have, you know, able to get some stock of the albums or CDs or whatever, so I could sell them at the shows. I haven't been doing that, which I should be, because people are asking, but I just never got around to organizing that aspect of it. You know.
the middleman there, but I didn't follow up on it with you and Roll from Big Records there, like to hook you up. Because when you were touring, it was perfect time. Actually, you had the other stuff there too.
It's just, yeah, it's just that some, you know, it's difficult when I get into touring mode. It's sometimes difficult to organize every aspect of everything, you know, because my brain is running a million miles an hour, and like now that I have more time to be at home, I can kind of think of a, you know, a game plan and try to make sure that I have, you know, because, you know, in-can is obviously the most important thing while I'm doing the touring and stuff like that. So some of the other side stuff I've been doing and whatnot, now I have a little bit of time where I could organize it a little more, so I could make sure that I have some merch and other stuff like that, you know, for out on tour.
Yeah, you're in the middle of a tour. You're starting a tour. You got so much other, you know, shit to worry about with your own stuff. You're not thinking about like my CDs or someone else's CDs or vinyl or whatever. Well, but I know you can sell the stuff there, and it's an amazing opportunity, and it's perfect, you know, like to get the word out with people who are just like casual fans, or or just want to support things. So you see that kind of stuff. So that's my fault. Sorry, I should have followed up.
No, it's not necessarily. I mean, it's.
You had enough on your plate, really. I thought it might be easier because you would know where to have to send it to, but
Yeah.
I'll get more involved next time.
No, it's all good. It's fine. I've had like I said, time to be home, and I settled down a little bit, so it, all these things that you're trying to get done or think about that aren't in-can related, I have a little more time to like actually sit there and actually think about it, because like I said, sometimes you just get, I'm more concerning myself with the next tour we're doing or what's like next on the plate. Because actually last year was like super busy. I mean, it was just insane. And,
you guys went to Indonesia and South America, I think?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was the end of 18s where we went to Asia. And then we did that tour. But then we came back and we did a tour in Europe. We did the Devastation on a Nation tour in the U.S. We did, what was it?
U.S. tours. They did the one before that, the year before with Dying Fetus.
Yeah, we did Dying Fetus before that. We did Australia. We did another European tour. We did the Morbid tour, and in between that,
talk about that one.
Yeah.
To come down to New York or Buffalo or whatever to see that one.
Yeah, that was a bummer. That was a bummer, but I know some of those guys in that camp have a hard time getting into Canada, so I think that's why that tour didn't go there. But yeah, and then between tours, I was trying to finish up the album and stuff, so it was just like a lot of stuff on my plate at one time. It's crazy, but this pandemic, and this quarantine has actually been kind of good for me because I needed time to just tell everybody to fuck off for a while and just concentrate on myself, my own stuff I have to get done and stuff like that. So it actually worked out a benefit, and it's not hugely different because when I'm not on tour, I don't go out that much unless I go to some gigs or something like that. So it's not like, to me, it's just all it is forced being home. I mean, it screwed up some shows that we have coming up, but that's nothing you can do about,
Yeah, there's nothing you can do, but I think you should just take it for what it is, right? I mean, it's some downtime. Like, when is the last time anyone got downtime from life?
Yeah, exactly. I don't. To me, it's not so bad, and eventually it'll be over and it'll be back on track and running on full steam again. So it's all good,
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's not gonna last too much longer. But my job is one of those jobs where I didn't get the time off, and I was just like, figures, I know the people who weren't able to work, they were losing money and they were all stressed out, and it was just a weird scene. So
yeah,
I wasn't glad, but like, my hours were cut down, so I was okay with that. Just less.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you have enough money to survive through this, or whatever, it's okay. I mean, it's good to have the time. Obviously, it sucks for people that are struggling more, or worse, people that actually got sick, from it or whatever. That's more of a problem. But for me, I've been pretty fortunate. I didn't get sick or nothing, and I had time to just work on metal, and do other things I have to do,
Sounds like a good time right there. You want to see some guitars?
Yeah, let's see.
I saw someone say "nice Ironbird" in the back, so I just.
Oh yeah.
I had the opportunity to get an NJ series one this year.
Oh,
so because I already had another one.
Yeah.
I think it was a Korean one, or the Ironbird one with the other neck still.
Yeah, that looks like the one of the Mockingbirds I have. Like that's the Ironbird version of the one of Mockingbirds. I think I don't know what year that is.
I'm thinking 90s. I'm not sure exactly.
Like if it's a late 90s, because I have one that's a late 90s or early 2000s, and it has that neck looks almost identical. Not the headstock, but just the way the neck is, the length of it, because I think it's long scale neck. I think.
So like it's the same color, like not the wood.
Yeah, no, it's bad. That's badass. Yeah.
I got this one too.
Oh, awesome.
This is I think an 84 or 85. I'm not totally sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's killer.
last year for to play around with the tremolos. They got a Kaler on this one.
Yeah, I love the Kaler. I like the Kalers more than the Floyd Rose. So I'm like, yeah. So to me, it's perfect. Yeah, I seen the Floyd Rose net, but I grew up with, Kaler was the shit in the '80s. So I started using that. And the Floyd, I know the Floyd has more flexibility, but I just never got into it. I like the Kaler more, in my opinion. Oh, that's Kaler too.
This is the one I wrote the EPs on, actually. This is a 76 Gibson.
Oh, no way. Awesome.
The original owner.
Really?
Original parts. I took the pick guard off because, I don't know, I didn't really need it.
Yeah.
The holes left, but...
that's killer.
I wanted to showcase more of the wood. I didn't like the pick guard too much.
Yeah. That's nice. That's really... Yeah.
See, I always used the stock bridges before this because I'm not really a guitarist. I came from bass.
Yeah.
So I just keep it simple, and I got really a lot better on this guitar.
Yeah.
These are my first two guitars with tremolos. So last year and this year are the first time I used them.
Yeah.
I always did them, and I had I could do the have a nice kind of like a system there, a little rhythm there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of think that's it. I mean, we've been on for over an hour, so I think people should get their fill of it. Fill of all
I guess
this.
it's having fun and they've loosened up, so
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if there's anybody out there that does have any questions about the Tribes of Pazuzu project, I guess now would be your time to answer it before we split.
Last about guitars again, or Red Widow Gibson. I don't know that. Not too much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's no problem. Some people like to comment. Some people like to just check it out and stuff. But okay. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much for doing this. It's really cool to have you.
Nice talking to you again. It's always fun. It's always informative. Get down at the roots of the where we came from.
Yeah, and look forward to hearing the stuff you come up with and stuff. And
I do riff at a time, or something, or I don't know if that's annoying, or if you'd like to hear the finished product, or.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think just whenever you have stuff ready, ready, a song ready or something like that, feel free to send it on over,
Yeah, I'll send you with something done for sure,
Because, I mean, it looks like I won't be touring for next, probably next 6 months or so, or 5 months, so I'll definitely have time to, do some stuff.
A bit of pressure to have a full album done in the next 6 months completed, but... I'll see if I can have a
yeah, but it'd still be good to get in rotation as far as just playing through it, because I like to just set up say songs I'm working on or something like that. Just have a little playthrough just to keep the feeling of the song going, get comfortable with it,
Definitely. I'll get something together for sure.
But anyway, thank you very much. Is there anything you want to say before we go in?
Not really, I guess. We didn't really... that doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, what, just something we forgot to talk about?
Oh, no,
it
I
could
guess
be.
the time really, you touched upon it, but we didn't really talk about it, but that's not a big deal.
Well, what didn't we talk about? I'm sorry?
Short time with Pestilence there, but...
oh, yeah, well, yeah, I kind of mulled all over it, but what, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I love Pestilence.
Maybe Momelli's watching right now, who knows?
Yeah.
No. I know, we don't have to talk about it.
But you were gonna be replacing Martin Van Druen, right, on vocals and bass, or is that wrong?
Bass. I wanted to sing too, but
Patrick was gonna sing.
He already had it in his head that he wanted to take over the vocals.
Oh, okay.
That was not even on the table.
Okay. Because I mean, Patrick's okay on vocals. He's not my favorite. He's recently though. I think he's done pretty good on vocals, but. I thought you would have probably did better after hearing you on the Tribes.
They let me do one song at one rehearsal, and they didn't like it, so we just moved on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the thing. I know Pat has a very strict vision on what he wants to do. You know, so I think it makes sense that he would want to do vocals, and so he can do everything his way, which makes sense. You know, it's
that's fine. It's his. He's left in the band. It's his thing, right?
yeah,
So.
yeah. I mean, he's the mastermind behind it. Even though like Van Drunen was amazing on vocals on those albums. Pat's I think pretty much the the riff writer and the songwriter in that band. So it makes sense that he'd be wanting to do vocals and stuff. It's kind of like what I did. I just said, "Fuck it, I got to learn how to do it and not suck."
Yeah, that's all you can do, right? I
mean, yeah. Well, it's always a pain in the ass if you have a band and your vocalist decides to split, and you're just like, "Awesome, that sucks." I thought especially if you're doing a band, you think everyone's in it for the long haul and stuff like that, and then people start flaking out, and you're like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think you've been in it long enough to know how many flakes there are. So
yeah,
it's disheartening sometimes. It's frustrating.
Yeah, but you just gotta grab the bull by the horns and deal with it. And just move on. Because if you do it, it's different, I guess. Maybe if you're doing it just for money or trend or popularity is one thing, but a lot of death metal musicians are doing it from the heart and stuff. So it's like there's a reason to go on. It's not like, oh, things aren't working out perfect. I gotta pack up my bags. It's like, because it wasn't like it's not a great financial game plan to play in a death metal band. So.
You're not seeing dollar signs in death metal.
Yeah.
The same that's. I mean, there's a cap on death metal.
Yeah.
The bands and how much you can sell. I mean, but Morbid Angel, I think in the '90s, I think sold one of the biggest death metal.
Yeah. A band like Cannibal Corpse or Morbid Angel are probably the two that are at the pinnacle. Probably the pinnacle of where death metal could be. I mean, it'd be crazy if they can get bigger, but. I mean, both those bands, especially Morbid Angel around Covenant time, really, was probably the biggest death metal band out there,
That's what I read in that book there, Choosing Death there, I think it was. Because I think they were on a major label at that time.
Yeah.
The old death metal bands, they were on a major, so...
or Universal.
Was that?
I know it was. I think I forget. It was like Sony or Universal or something they were signed to. It was like when all those Eric bands got signed.
Right.
Yeah, and actually it was a bummer because Covenant was probably the only album that I liked of any of those bands that got signed to Universal. Because I remember Entombed had, I think on that one did Wolverine Blues, which I didn't really like so much, and then Carcass did Swan Songs, which I thought was terrible.
Exactly, the same.
My honest opinion. I was a fan of Carcass and Entombed before. I loved Left Hand Path. I loved Sympathy's Sickness, that stuff. But Wolverine Blues, the Death and Roll. For me, it was never my thing.
Exactly. I don't like the Death and Roll, but it was obvious style changes in all of those bands. It wasn't like.
But Morbid Angel. I'm sorry to interrupt. Morbid Angel put out a fucking great. Covenant's an amazing album. And that came out. It was a major label. They didn't really cater too much to try to cater to the commercial crowd. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, definitely. They were sticking true to what death metal was about instead of getting caught up in the hype of the '90s.
Yeah,
where everyone thought like, oh. These bands could sell. Let's try to get them on the radio. Let's make videos and let's get them on Beavis and Butthead. Let's do this. And,
I know.
And they're kind of pushed into a place where it was just like these things don't go together.
Yeah.
A lot of the bands I think started changing their styles to fit into more of a sellable type of format.
Yeah, but I know. I think with Entombed, because we toured with Entombed on Clandestine, which is a great album. Awesome. And even by that time, I know those guys were really like wanting to go towards more of a Helmet type vibe or something, to their music, which I thought was strange, but was honest for them to do. It just wasn't my cup of tea or whatever, you know. But I respect that bands have to do what they think is the right thing to do. But for me, it's like, I would have much rather them stayed in that clandestine left hand path thing. For me, that was their sweet spot, you know.
I think it goes to a certain level with the musicians and frustration, and maybe you want to grow as a musician or you want to do friends, and it's not always the best decision or what your influences are at the time. You might be influenced by something that's not metal at all and want to go towards that style. And I understand, like, you get bored of stuff, listen to the same thing and everything, but I think too much of this mixing diversity stuff in the music, and it just changes it.
Well, I thought it was a smarter move for Nicky Anderson to move and just do the Helicopters, which was a totally different band and a different style, because it was obvious that he wanted to play, he wanted to do stuff that was, say, more similar to like a Helmet or something like that. So it was smart for him to just say, okay, let's not do the Entomb thing, and let's do something fresh that's going to be in that. And that's actually more respectable and more, in my opinion, a better idea to do it instead of trying to change your band into something else. Just say, okay, I don't believe in what I did before, or I was younger and it doesn't do anything, or I'll wait until I'm inspired to play death metal again, and I'll put that aside and I'll do XYZ band and have it be its own thing and let it get its own credit on merit or whatever. And that's a smarter way to go. I always,
it is for sure.
I never liked that.
Yeah, because like I think when I listened to music from back in the day, I was always like a fan of the band. So whenever they put out a new album, I always tried to like it because I always loved the band. So I was always trying to be supportive. But then some bands just change too much, and this is a reality with a lot of bands when you look back.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be a fan of one band when their catalog goes all over the place sometimes, and it's kind of important to be like an AC/DC, of music sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you want to stick true to what the people like about it.
Yeah.
But there still could be some experimentation and some trying stuff, but I mean within reason.
Sometimes it could fit in properly, but sometimes it just to me at least it hits me the wrong way, and just a bummer. I mean, you just you like a band so much, and then they put out something that is just not even in the same realm as the other stuff, and you're just like, it bums you out because you're just like, oh man, it's like you're kind of when a band you like, you're rooting for them, you want them to kick ass, you don't, and
bought the merch, you got the shirt,
and I understand everybody has, people grow and they have different concepts and ideas, and that's totally fair and reasonable, but I still think that they should just say, okay, well, let's just do a band that is in a different style or something like that, just start. I mean, like Nicky did it, and the way he did it with the Helicopters. I mean, I wish they wouldn't have added that to the Wolverine Blues style, but when he did that, it was smart because they did well for him. I mean, I wasn't really a fan of the Helicopter stuff, but it was fine. But they did good for themselves, as its own thing. Like they didn't need to rip off the Entomb name and just use that as a way to get the some people don't want to change the band name because people know the band name, they know Entombed, but he had the balls to start the Helicopters and make a new band with his own, get credit for what that band is, because I mean, Nicky is an amazing songwriter and drummer and guitar player, and he could conquer other styles. What's that?
And singer, he was saying on that's like.
What was that?
And he's a good singer too.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he did. I mean, the dude's just multi-talented, I mean, just amazing.
But definitely the right move to make it a separate band. It's too easy to just do that and be like, like a continuation of who you are as a band or who's in your band.
Yeah, well, that was
or whatever,
Well, that's why it was a smart thing for you to do the Soulstorm thing and then say, okay, I'm gonna do a new band that's its own concept and start it like that, and it's been taken off great. That's the right way to do it.
any like stigma of the other bands or styles or anything. I just want to do something new and fresh, and you know, based on my influences and new influences, and you know what I've been doing, and just do something new, right? Yeah, I didn't want to, you know, use anything of the past for anything. You know, like it doesn't serve.
Yeah, well, it's a different whole different thing, you know. Yeah, someone brought up Metallica. It's like Metallica for me. Like Metallica completely changed once you did the Black album, you know.
Right.
But I mean, and that was a change. But man, when they did Load and Reload, it was like, come on, is this even the same band? You know, it's like, I mean, I know it was super popular and stuff, but it's kind of like, you know, have a little bit of integrity and just say like, you know, your new band's called Load or something instead of Metallica, because it really was a different thing. And then they decided to go back to it. And I understand that maybe that's where they wanted to go as a band, which is cool, but it's not. It's not like, you know. There's a certain point when you change so much that you should be like, well, this is really a whole different thing that we're doing. It's not, you know, we're not doing a Ride the Lightning or Kill 'Em All or anything. You know, they're not even like close. At least the Black Album, even though for me it was a big change. I didn't like it a lot when it came out. It was still it still had metal to it, you know. But once you did the Reload stuff, it was like obvious that they were wanted to do alternative, and it's like, okay, we'll start an alternative band with all the guys from Metallica, you know.
I don't know if it was metal. It was like hard rock, really. I mean, you know,
the Black Album.
Yeah, the Black Album. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I'm trying to be I'm being generous. My old age, I'm being generous, you know. Oh, when first time I heard Enter Sandman, I was like, I wanted to vomit, you know.
Right. Channel some of that. It's disappointing when I first heard the Black Album, but I didn't like Injustice too much either. I kind of liked that, but I also saw it was just kind of like where it was going, or I don't know. It just didn't. I didn't like the whole thing, but
yeah, I Injustice for All. Injustice for All, to me, it just sounded too wimpy of an album. It was a little too technical, but it was. I think it. I mean, looking back, it has its moments where it could be a really good album if it was cut down, and some of, you know, it's just too much fat on that album, and it just, the production just sucks.
Yeah, production, and some riffs just played way too long on that. Like, you got like 8-9 minute songs, and like you got one riff for like 2-3 minutes.
They don't need that. I know, it's just too much. But
editing would make that album a bit better, probably.
Yeah, you know, and it was such a shame because after what was it, Master Puppets, which was an intense, heavy album to have, and just, I mean, I know they did Garage Days revisited after that, but still they had that you know, that monster album of Master Puppets, and then they do Injustice for All, which, you know, I don't, like, how do you do such a well-produced, thick album like Master Puppets, and then say, okay, next one we want it to sound really empty, you know? It's hard to even understand, like, you know, with just the people that are around them, you know, telling them like, dude, this album sounds like shit, you know? Like, dude, like, I mean, it sounds like even I even read some stuff, even the producer of that album was just like horrified with what they're asking them to do, you know?
I saw something recently too, yeah. I feel like it, then they forced me to do it or whatever.
Yeah, just think how awesome it would be. You get that chance to work with a huge band like Metallica, you know, and then they want you to do something that totally is lame.
Yeah, right. Biggest metal band. Let's do something.
Yeah.
You know, like it's that's why we go back to this genre. That's why we're back here. You know, that's why we're still here. You know, 35 years later from these albums. You know, those albums we're talking about, like, you know, Master Puppets, '86, Rain and Blood, Darkness Descends. You got Pleasure to Kill. You know,
great albums, yeah.
So some of those bands didn't make it. You know, they changed the style. You know, a lot of new bands were introduced, and but it's all death metal. You know, I think also there was a blueprint kind of set up around that time too, like with these albums. Whereas, like, that's where you enjoy death metal the most. You know, like where it sits in that kind of area there, like
Well,
too flashy, too long, the songs or this or that. It's just it doesn't serve the purpose of death metal at this point.
yeah. Well, talking about bands from back in the '80s, what I'm curious about for you is what do you think of the new Possessed album, the one they just put out? Have you listened to it yet?
Yeah, I was excited for it coming out. I heard a couple demo songs. I saw like a bunch of live stuff. Love the old albums, of course.
So are am I taking it you don't like the new one too much?
I do like it. I don't know if I like the vocals, all the vocals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The way little, more like singing.
Mm-hmm. Huh, that's strange because I actually really like it a lot. I think it's a great album. And I'm
not saying I don't like it. I just I like it.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot of like slagging the most important person in death metal history, but
I'm just gonna, I'm just saying that it's not that I don't like it. It's just not as much as I thought I was gonna like it because of the demos and stuff. Right?
Okay.
And seeing the live stuff, the live version of these songs. But
well, you
I just my take on it because I was a big Possessed fan, and I think it influenced me to a certain extent.
Well, so you're saying that you heard the demos of these new songs?
Not all of them. I think they had. I'm sure Shadow Cult was one of the demos, and there was one more.
I never heard those demos. The first thing I really heard was the album, and I personally I was blown away because I thought it was a good, good. Like it had to me, it had all the fundamentals of what Possessed needs to be, and the fact that it's what I don't know. 35 years since their last album. It's like I thought it held up pretty good because most bands come back after 30 years and you don't even recognize who they are, you know?
Maybe it came out wrong the way I was saying it, harsh, a little too harsh.
Well, it's okay though. I mean, Possessed is one of those important bands where people are very passionate about. I understand.
The production sounds amazing. The songs sound amazing. The songwriting's great. I love the singing and the lyrics. I love all that stuff. I'm just saying that it was a little too singy for me. It's a little too melody, but that's about it. I mean,
Yeah. That's cool.
I feel bad now.
No, it's fine. Everybody has their own opinion or whatever. I mean,
right.
I mean, personally, I think it's really good. I was really really happy with the album. I actually jam it quite a lot, and I think it has. To me, it keeps that 80s feeling when I listen to it. I mean, the production's really good and it's up to date, but it has a great vibe to it. I think it's a good one.
I still have it on the iPod. I'm like, it doesn't come off, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be a good idea just to listen to it and just try to get schooled.
Well, I don't know if you remember when I was setting out the demos for the second EP, but there was one riff that I had that I wrote for one of the songs that after the Possessed album came out, I was just like, oh, that's a little close.
Yeah.
So I changed that riff, but...
Well, I think... I don't think there's a death metal band out there that hasn't borrowed some material from Possessed in one way or another, or without even noticing it. Because I mean, it's one of the building blocks of everything that you all do. That it's almost impossible not to, just in playing that style, you utilize some of those things.
That's the style. That's what it all breaks down to. What I was saying about the building blocks of the death metal scene and like what was happening in the '80s. Like that stuff is still stuff that bands go back to and use. Like that's those are the building blocks, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, anyway, enough embarrassing you over Possessed.
But I do like it. I'm just saying. I saw them opening on the Blacks of the Black tour when they had the Sadistic Intent guys in the band still. This was maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very looking forward to all the new stuff because I think they played it. I'm not sure if they played a new song that night, but I'm a
Well,
big fan of Sadistic Intent too, so that was also a nice thing to see.
well,
Back in,
yeah, I know what you're saying, and I mean, I'm a huge Cystic Intent fan. I think they're a great band, but in my opinion, it didn't sound Possessed didn't sound as good with Cystic Intent playing with them than they do now with you know, their own band that has more of that death thrash vibe to it. Cystic Intent just the tuning was just too low for it. You know, I thought it didn't come across as good when I've seen them recently on the 70,000 Tons of Metal, and it just really sounded better because I don't know what they're tuned to, but they're tuned closer to the earlier albums now, and it just sounds to me it sounds more in context, you know.
yeah, yeah, true. I see that. Yeah,
So
I didn't mind it.
what's that?
I didn't mind it. I like the lower tuning, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I guess I mean, I like lower tuning too in general, you know, but I just didn't think. For me, I just didn't think Possessed
right,
warranted that, you know.
especially if they weren't like that before.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hear you know, Burning in Hell tuned down low. I'd rather just hear Burning in Hell sound like Burning in Hell, you know, or you know,
The original band,
yeah,
yeah.
or something, you know. Yeah, that's when I watched them recently. They, you know, when they play the classics sound properly in context, you know. And it's no disrespect to Cystic Intent. I mean, I know Rick and Bay real well, and it's a great band. I just didn't think that you know, that the Possessed thing sounded good. You know, that tuning or whatnot. You know, I mean, they played it well. You know.
I don't think they planned like a big reunion or at that point either. They were probably just kind of let's do this and
Yeah.
it'll be. But you know, and then it started taking off and you know changed or whatever to what it is now, and you know that fits the style more, you know, for sure. Like tuning to the original kind of sound,
Yeah.
you know.
For me, it's just it brings me back to you know, being a teenager or whatever. You know,
Right? Yeah.
hearing. I mean, Possessed for me back in the mid '80s was just like super important to me. You know, as one of those influential bands, like you know, like just like Slaughter, Sacrifice, or Voivod, Celtic Frost. Possessed was like you know, it maybe maybe the most important out of them. I mean, at least for Incan it was, you know. And it's like we kind of wanted to be like do what Possessed did on Seven Churches, but do it for the early '90s or whatever, you know, like not copy it, but have that impact of being the most dark, evil, brutal, pissed off thing, you know. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We tried.
That's what all those ingredients are trying to make it to the tribe there. You know? It's
Yeah, it's killer.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah, you got the best music to make is to remember, you know, when you're young and why you got into it in the first place. You know, you just wanted to tell everybody to fuck off and have a good time and just go for it. You know.
Yeah, I missed that. That's why I wanted to go back to the fast stuff. That's why it's all fast again.
Yeah, you got.
I did the death doom thing to you know. I beat the horse with that, you know. 30 years with Soulstorm, right? So it's like, all right, let's pick up the pace now. And I don't have any inclination to go into the doom stuff anymore. I just want to make it all fast and just pummeling and no breaks.
Well, yeah, I mean it's good. The important thing for me always been is that both of those aspects are important in metal. You know, the doomier stuff and the faster stuff. You know, so it was like, you know. It's it's good to switch back and forth from that because they both have their own
Sure.
importance, you know.
You guys utilize both of those sounds really well, you know. But like I said, I kind of did the whole thing to death, and I just have this new vision of what I want to do with Tribe, and just kind of keep it like fast and relentless.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's great. I think the album sounds great, or the EP.
Yeah, thank you.
This is nice. When I first heard it, I was just like, "Huh, wow! This really sounds. It sounds way different than what I remember from the demos, but it sounded really killer." But I was like, "Huh, wow! Sounds really good. Even better than what I thought." It's a pleasant surprise, you know.
This team, like everyone, involved in this has just been so perfect, and to make the vision of Tribe just come out better than even I can expect. Like, I mean, it's best case scenario with every person. You know what I mean? Like, it's come out, you know, exactly how you would dream it to, but because it came out exactly like that, it's better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, wow, I didn't.
Yeah, I understand, because you always want, you know, a band to come together or an album to come together, and you want the idea that you envision to come to life, because it's actually a real struggle for a songwriter. You get really concerned because you have this vision of how you want things done, and you find other people to do it, and sometimes you just can't. With the people you have, it just doesn't work, and then sometimes you get it and it works perfectly, you know, or sometimes it works and it exceeds your expectations, you know. But it's a difficult thing for a songwriter, you know, and I think we both can relate because we're both primary songwriters in the stuff that we do a lot of times. So it's you know,
Yeah,
it's a struggle.
Those variables of other musicians are what can change your initial sound.
Yeah,
like, it's all integral to making your sound, making your vision incomplete. You know what I mean? Like, to reach, like, you're relying on other people.
Yeah,
so everyone that I've relied on for this pulled their weight, and you know, made it perfect, made it come out amazing. I have no complaints.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's good.
Yeah. But no, how it turned out, like, it's, you know, the best possibility that I could ever ask for.
It happens sometimes, but it is a difficult thing for a songwriter, and people sometimes take that that dedication to a vision and look at it like you're being maybe an asshole, or you're not being understanding enough, when it's like, it's not that. It's just like, you know, it's just like if you were drawing a painting and then someone just comes in and starts like changing everything in your painting, and you know, you're like, whoa, 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 you know. It's like, you know, I mean, you want people, yes, if you're asking for help, you gotta say, okay, you can help me in the painting, but you have to do it in my style so it fits in the painting properly, you know. And I don't think people quite understand that dynamic, you know. People might think that you're being an asshole, or I'm not saying you're being an asshole, but it might come across to other musicians, and it's not that you're trying to do that. At least I know on my end, it's never about like personal or not liking something, you know, just for no reason. There's a whole vision in my head sometimes, and sometimes if you just don't have the right person to do it, sometimes it gets very stressful as a songwriter, because you want to be nice and try to work with other people, but at the same time you're like, but my vision is getting distorted, or not clearly being put out because of it. So I'm happy that the people that, you know, you got, you know, we were all able to make your vision come close to what you're looking for. I mean, that's my goal, as was playing it. It's for both you and the Beast project I do. It's like, I want to just do my best to try to enhance the vision, because I know the place, you know, my place in the band is to, you know, bring your vision to life. You know, it's not, you know, maybe if you were playing in like a project I was writing the music for, your job would be to help me get my vision, but my thing is to get your vision the best it could be. You know.
Perfect analogy right there. Yeah.
So it's just important to me, because I don't think people quite understand that, you know, with songwriters, and like, you know, I'm always happy that, you know, people like, you know, say the Tribe stuff or the Beast of Revelation stuff I work in, you know, and I'm just happy. I just look at it like, I'm just happy that I was able to contribute to make somebody else's vision come true. It's really an awesome feeling to do that, and I get the reward of it too, because I'm able to, you know, do something different, and not. It's not like my thing where, okay, if I do it myself, I have not total control, but I have control over the overall concept. So it's nice to work with some other people that has a concept that you agree with and that you could add to, you know, and it's like adding a little bit of spice to it to make it just right, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think there's different levels of players too. Like, some people don't like to write; they just like
Yeah.
Some people can write, but they can't arrange. So,
Yeah.
you know, some people can just do solos, or I mean, there's different things, right? So and you probably write in the way where you know all your riffs, and like, so you don't really need people contributing riffs as much.
But I love it, actually. I actually love when people I work with contribute riffs, because I think it just makes it better. But yeah, if I had to, I could write it all myself. It's fine. I don't prefer. I prefer to be in a band and not a solo project. But it's not. I'm not a. If I have to do it, I could do it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still have the basic concept. Is mine, I guess.
Yeah, it's just, I think different people write different. Like, I also heard other people say, like, oh, you can only write with a band in a jam room, and it's just like, I don't think that works with everybody. Like, I mean, that might work for some people. Some people like to work together. Some, I write riffs here. I write riffs at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I usually have some sort of outline beforehand, but I mean, like the writing process I had with Kyle, or I do have with Kyle, we can come up with good stuff at practice together, which is really good. But I've been in other situations where, the practice situation has been massively unproductive, because you just have 4 people there, and people don't want to waste their time having you try to come up with stuff. It gets to be a weird vibe. Sometimes it works out great and everyone's really into the writing, but other times you might have another guitar player that just wants to play guitar and just likes to play guitar and can play really good, but isn't into that whole. It's almost like a scientist thing where you're trying to put the whole chemicals together to make the song right. Some people don't like to be around that situation. Some people want to just have it, go to practice. We know all the parts and do it. And sometimes it works out good. I mean, it works out good both ways for me, but it depends on the other people more than it depends on me,
Yeah, true. I think that's what I'm saying. Is like, it's individual is different for everyone. Like the whole process of creating and just like getting it done in a jam room. Just different ways of writing. That's all.
Yeah, no, but it's great. I mean, it's great now with being able to record stuff on computer. I could I could come up with stuff whenever and come up with a basic outline of the song, and then send it to everybody beforehand, so everybody has an idea of what we're going to do before practice. It helps out a lot. Then I used to have to go to practice and then spend some time just showing, this person, that person, the riffs that I'm thinking about. And then play it, and then realize once you play it, things are a little different. It's a mess.
A different feel of the drums, or this or that, or
yeah.
So I didn't used to demo too much before this either, but it's or 4 tracks and stuff. But a lot of benefit to it, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's awesome.
And I send it out, and everyone just plays it, and then I get it back, and it's like, wow.
Awesome. But yeah, I guess we should wrap it up though. It's getting close to 2 hours, I think, this thing.
Yeah, I kept I extended it a bit there with some more trivia.
Yeah. But what was
awesome.
it?
Oh, man, it was awesome. I appreciate you asking me to do this and helping me out and stuff, and being a part of the band, and all your help and support, everything. Thanks, man.
It's a blast. It's been a total blast for me. It's great to work with you and stuff, and I hope to hang out with you again. Next time we're in Toronto area. I do want to just make sure that anyone watching this, I know I should do this early on, but check out the Tribes of Pazuzu Facebook page, and probably Instagram stuff. Like that, so you could be kind of up to date on that stuff, and also obviously like the Incan page and the my personal fan page I have too. If you could like that stuff, I really appreciate it. And yeah, just thank you guys for listening, for the support. And for me, it's what's that?
Thanks for listening to me babbling for an hour.
Yeah, same here. Just babbling about metal and stuff like that. But it's for me, it's really great to be able to do these live streams and also have other people I'm working with different projects and stuff like that, to be able to talk and just rap, about bullshit,
A bunch of them. Sometimes I gotta go to work and stuff, and I get to try to catch up on all the ones you're posting there.
Yeah, it would be tough though. I mean, they always drag out way too long. I get concerned because I try to do them like under an hour. Because who wants to hear me just babble for 2 hours? You know, but
obviously people are tuning in though. So
yeah, so fuck it, right? As long as they don't mind, I don't mind just babbling about metal. It's pretty cool, you know.
this topic was always fun to talk about metal.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate it, and look forward to working with you in the future. Yeah, check out that Tribes Pazuzu page on Facebook. You know, check out their stuff's on the stuff's on YouTube to check out and stuff. So just give it a whirl. Hopefully you dig it. You know, it's if you're into death metal, you probably like it, and if you don't like it, well, it's not my problem if you're a poser or not. Nothing I can do about it. You know.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, see you guys. Take care. Thank you very much. See you, Nick.